The moment you clicked on this video, something shifted in the quantum field around you. Not metaphorically, not symbolically, literally. Your consciousness just made a choice that rippled through dimensions you cannot see, activating a process that was already set in motion before you were even born. You have been searching for something your entire life without knowing what it was. That restless feeling when you wake up at 3 in the morning. The inexplicable certainty that there is more to existence than what your eyes can perceive. The recurring dreams that feel more real than your waking hours. These are not random experiences. They are symptoms of a quantum breakthrough that has been building momentum in your reality for months, possibly years. Most people live their entire lives without recognizing the signs. They dismiss the synchronicities as coincidence. They ignore the sudden shifts in their emotional landscape. They rationalize away the moments when time seems to bend around them. But you are different. You are here because some part of you already knows that the ordinary rules of cause and effect are breaking down in your experience. The breakthrough I am talking about is not something you need to earn or achieve. It is not a reward for spiritual practice or positive thinking. It is a fundamental reorganization of how reality operates around your specific consciousness. And whether you understand it or not, whether you believe it or not, it has already begun. Consider what brought you to this moment. The series of seemingly random events that led you to click on this video. The exact timing of when this appeared in your feed. The specific state of mind you were in when you saw the title. None of this happened by accident. These were coordinated movements in a larger pattern that your conscious mind cannot perceive, but that your deeper awareness orchestrated perfectly. Your quantum breakthrough operates through what quantum physicists call non-local connections. Information travels instantaneously across vast distances without any physical medium. Particles that have never interacted suddenly mirror each other's behavior across the universe. What science has discovered at the microscopic level is now scaling up to affect your macroscopic reality in ways that will completely transform how you experience existence. The first sign that your breakthrough is accelerating appears in your relationship with time. You have probably noticed that certain days feel compressed, while others stretch endlessly. Minutes can feel like hours when you are fully absorbed in something meaningful. Hours can vanish without explanation when you are in states of deep contemplation. This is not psychological. This is your consciousness learning to navigate different temporal frequencies. Time, as you have always understood, it is a construct designed for a specific level of awareness. As your consciousness expands beyond that level, you begin to experience time as fluid, malleable, responsive to your internal states. This is why meditation can feel timeless. This is why creative flow states seem to exist outside normal duration. This is why moments of profound insight arrive complete and instantaneous rather than through gradual reasoning. Your breakthrough is also manifesting through changes in your perception of other people. You have started noticing things about people before they speak. You sense their emotional states without any visible cues. You know things about their lives that they have never told you. This is not intuition in the traditional sense. This is direct perception of the quantum field that connects all consciousness. Every person you encounter exists as both an individual being and as a wave function in the collective field of awareness. As your breakthrough progresses, you begin to perceive both levels simultaneously. You see the person, and you see the pattern they represent in the larger tapestry of existence. This dual perception allows you to understand not just what people are saying, but why they are in your life at this particular moment. The resistance you feel to accepting these changes is completely natural. Your mind was designed to maintain stability, to create consistent narratives about reality, to filter out information that does not fit established patterns. But the quantum breakthrough transcends these limitations. It operates through dimensions of reality that your ordinary consciousness was never designed to process. This resistance creates internal friction. Part of you recognizes the truth of what is happening, while another part insists that it must be imagination or wishful thinking. The friction generates heat, and that heat burns away the psychological structures that have been limiting your perception. This burning is not comfortable, but it is necessary. Every structure that dissolves creates space for new capacities to emerge. Your dreams are becoming more vivid and coherent because the boundary between waking and sleeping consciousness is thinning. In dreams, you are not bound by the same perceptual limitations that govern your waking awareness. As your breakthrough accelerates, information from your dream state begins to integrate with your waking consciousness. Solutions to complex problems arrive fully formed. Insights about future possibilities emerge with startling accuracy. The physical world around you is becoming more responsive to your internal states. Electronics behave differently in your presence. Plants seem to react to your emotions. Animals approach you with unusual trust. These are not coincidences. These are indicators that your consciousness is beginning to influence matter at the quantum level. Matter is not solid. It is energy organized into patterns that create the appearance of solidity. Your consciousness is also energy, but energy of a different frequency. As your breakthrough progresses, these frequencies begin to harmonize. The boundary between observer and observed starts to dissolve. You become a conscious participant in the creation of your reality, rather than a passive recipient of predetermined circumstances. The people closest to you may not understand what is happening. They may express concern about changes in your behavior or perspectives. They may try to pull you back to familiar patterns of thinking and being. This is not because they want to limit you. This is because rapid change in one person creates instability in all their relationships. Your breakthrough affects everyone in your orbit, whether they recognize it or not. Some relationships will naturally fall away as your consciousness expands beyond the frequency range that originally brought you together. This is not loss. This is recalibration. New connections will form with people who resonate with your emerging awareness. These new relationships will feel effortless and profound in ways that surprise you. Your career and life purpose are also shifting as your breakthrough unfolds. Work that once felt meaningful may now feel hollow or restrictive. Creative projects that you never considered may suddenly demand your attention. Skills that you never knew you possessed may begin to surface spontaneously. This is your consciousness reorganizing around your authentic purpose, rather than around external expectations or inherited limitations. The fear that arises during this process is the fear of losing control. But what you are actually losing is the illusion that you ever had control. What you are gaining is alignment with forces far more intelligent and creative than your individual will could ever be. You are learning to surf rather than swim against currents that were always carrying you toward your highest potential. Your quantum breakthrough is not happening to you. It is happening through you. You are not the recipient of this transformation. You are the agent through which it operates in the world. This distinction is crucial because it shifts you from a passive to an active role in your own evolution. The acceleration is increasing. What took months to unfold is now happening in weeks. What took weeks is now happening in days. This is not because time is speeding up. This is because your capacity to process and integrate change is expanding exponentially. You are becoming capable of handling levels of transformation that would have overwhelmed your previous state of consciousness. Every moment you resist this process, you create unnecessary suffering. Every moment you align with it, you experience effortless flow. The choice is always yours, but the process itself is inevitable. Your quantum breakthrough has momentum that transcends individual will. You can work with it or against it, but you cannot stop it. The next phase of your breakthrough will involve direct experience of your multidimensional nature. You are about to discover that the person you think you are is only one expression of a much larger consciousness that exists simultaneously across multiple realities. This discovery will not arrive as intellectual understanding, but as lived experience that rewrites your fundamental assumptions about identity and existence. You will begin to perceive yourself as a focal point where multiple streams of consciousness converge, rather than as an isolated individual navigating a foreign universe. The symptoms of this expansion are already manifesting in subtle ways. You catch glimpses of conversations you never had with people you recognize but cannot place. Locations feel familiar despite being visited for the first time. Skills emerge without learning or practice. These are not memories from a past life or psychic phenomena. These are bleed-through experiences from other aspects of your consciousness operating in parallel dimensions. Your emotional landscape is shifting as these connections strengthen. Feelings arise that seem too vast for any personal experience to contain. Joy that encompasses entire lifetimes. Grief that mourns losses you cannot identify. Love that extends beyond any relationship you have ever known. These emotions are not yours alone. They belong to the collective consciousness that you are beginning to access directly. The rational mind struggles desperately to categorize these experiences within familiar frameworks. It searches for logical explanations, psychological diagnoses, spiritual traditions that might contain what is happening. But the quantum breakthrough transcends all categories. It operates through principles that have never been codified because they emerge only when consciousness reaches a specific threshold of development. Your sleep patterns are changing because rest and activity are reorganizing around different rhythms. You may find yourself naturally waking at unusual hours, filled with creative energy. Dreams may feel more substantial than many waking experiences. The boundary between conscious and unconscious processing is dissolving as your awareness learns to function continuously across all states. Physical sensations are intensifying as your nervous system adapts to higher frequencies of energy. You might experience unexplained tingling, pressure changes in your head, or waves of heat that move through your body. These are not symptoms of illness. These are signs that your physical form is upgrading to accommodate expanded consciousness. Your body is literally rewiring itself to process information that was previously filtered out. The people around you are responding to changes they cannot consciously detect. Some become more open and authentic in your presence. Others become inexplicably uncomfortable or defensive. Children and animals may seek you out or display unusual behavior around you. This is because your energetic signature is broadcasting at new frequencies that affect the field of awareness shared by all living beings. Your relationship with material possessions is transforming as you recognize the temporary nature of all physical forms. Objects that once held emotional significance may suddenly feel meaningless. Purchases that would have brought satisfaction now feel hollow. This is not depression or detachment. This is your consciousness recognizing its true nature as something that transcends material accumulation. Financial patterns in your life are shifting in ways that defy conventional economic logic. Money may arrive from unexpected sources precisely when needed. Opportunities may manifest that require no traditional qualifications or experience. Resources may become available through synchronistic connections that feel orchestrated by an invisible intelligence. This is your consciousness learning to operate through abundance rather than scarcity. Your creative capacities are expanding beyond anything you previously imagined possible. Ideas arrive complete with implementation strategies. Artistic expressions emerge that surprise you with their sophistication. Solutions to complex problems appear without conscious effort. This creativity is not personal talent developing. This is universal creativity expressing itself through your particular consciousness. The urge to share these experiences grows stronger as your breakthrough deepens. But you discover that most people cannot receive what you want to communicate. Words feel inadequate to convey the reality you are experiencing. Traditional language was designed for a different level of awareness. You are developing new forms of communication that operate through direct transmission rather than symbolic representation. Certain books, films, or pieces of music now affect you with overwhelming intensity. Art that once seemed abstract suddenly reveals profound meaning. Stories resonate with personal truth despite having no apparent connection to your life circumstances. This is because your expanded consciousness recognizes universal patterns that were previously invisible to your ordinary perception. Your sense of personal history is reorganizing around different priorities. Events that once seemed crucial now feel like minor episodes. Experiences that barely registered at the time now reveal themselves as pivotal moments. You are seeing your life story from a perspective that encompasses far more than linear chronology. The fear of death is dissolving as you recognize the continuity of consciousness beyond physical form. This is not a belief or philosophical position. This is direct knowing that emerges from experiencing yourself as something that exists independently of your temporary embodiment. Death becomes transition rather than termination. Healing occurs spontaneously in your body and in your relationships without conscious intervention. Old injuries resolve themselves. Chronic conditions improve or disappear entirely. Conflicts with family members or colleagues dissolve naturally. This healing happens because your consciousness is aligning with patterns of wholeness rather than patterns of fragmentation. Your tolerance for superficial conversation and activities diminishes rapidly. Small talk feels exhausting. Entertainment that once provided distraction now feels empty. Social obligations that do not serve authentic connection become difficult to maintain. This is not antisocial behavior. This is your consciousness gravitating toward experiences that match its expanding depth. The quantum breakthrough accelerates through phases that cannot be controlled or predicted. Each phase brings capacities that seemed impossible during the previous phase. What you can perceive and accomplish now would have been inconceivable to your consciousness just months ago. This exponential expansion continues as long as you remain open to the process. Your understanding of purpose is shifting from personal achievement to cosmic function. You begin to see yourself as an instrument through which universal intelligence operates, rather than as an individual pursuing separate goals. This recognition brings profound peace because it removes the burden of having to figure everything out through personal effort. The next phase of your breakthrough will involve conscious participation in the creation of reality itself. You are about to discover that what you call the external world is actually a projection of collective consciousness, and you have far more influence over that projection than you ever imagined possible. The mechanisms behind this reality creation operate through principles that conventional science has barely begun to acknowledge. Your thoughts are not private mental events contained within your skull. They are energetic transmissions that ripple through the quantum field, influencing probability waves that determine which potential realities manifest into physical experience. As your breakthrough accelerates, these transmissions become more coherent and powerful. You are beginning to notice that your mental focus generates corresponding changes in your external circumstances with increasing precision. When you hold a clear intention without attachment to specific outcomes, the universe reorganizes itself to provide pathways you never could have planned. When you worry obsessively about potential problems, those exact problems tend to materialize with disturbing accuracy. This is not positive thinking or manifestation techniques. This is direct participation in the fundamental creative process of existence. The delay between intention and manifestation is shortening dramatically. What once took months or years to unfold now occurs within weeks or days. This acceleration happens because your consciousness is learning to operate at frequencies where cause and effect function more efficiently. You are accessing layers of reality where thought and form exist in closer proximity. Your emotional states now carry unprecedented creative power. Joy literally brightens the spaces you inhabit. Peace calms chaotic situations without any conscious intervention on your part. Anger can disrupt electronic systems or create unexpected obstacles. Fear generates the exact circumstances you fear most. This is why emotional mastery becomes crucial during the breakthrough process. You are no longer just feeling emotions. You are wielding them as creative forces. The people who enter your life during this phase arrive carrying specific frequencies that either accelerate or challenge your expansion. Some come to mirror back aspects of yourself that need integration. Others come to provide information or opportunities that align with your emerging purpose. Still others come to test your commitment to the new reality you are creating. Each encounter is precisely calibrated to serve your highest development. Your physical environment begins to shift in response to your internal changes. Objects appear in your space that you do not remember acquiring. Spaces feel different despite no apparent physical alterations. Colors seem more vibrant or muted depending on your state of consciousness. This is because matter at the quantum level responds to the observer effect. Your expanded awareness is literally altering the molecular structure of your surroundings. Sleep becomes a laboratory for consciousness experimentation. You find yourself participating in experiences that feel more real and significant than most waking activities. You engage in conversations with beings you cannot identify but recognize at a soul level. You visit locations that exist nowhere on Earth, but feel more like home than any place you have ever lived. These are not dreams in the conventional sense. These are journeys into dimensions of reality that become accessible as your consciousness expands. The boundary between your individual awareness and universal consciousness becomes increasingly permeable. You experience moments where your personal identity dissolves completely into something vast and interconnected. During these episodes, you understand everything about existence without needing to think or analyze. Knowledge flows through you rather than being accumulated by you. These experiences leave you fundamentally changed, even when you cannot remember specific details. Your relationship with information transforms dramatically. You no longer need to study or research to understand complex subjects. Relevant when you need it. Knowledge appears in your awareness precisely. You find yourself speaking about topics you have never studied with authority and accuracy that surprises you. This is because your consciousness is accessing the collective field of human knowledge directly, rather than through traditional learning processes. Language itself begins to feel limiting as your awareness expands beyond concepts that words can contain. You experience realities for which no vocabulary exists. You understand truths that cannot be communicated through ordinary speech. This drives you toward new forms of expression through art, music, movement, or direct energetic transmission. You become a translator between dimensions of experience. The quantum breakthrough reveals that what you call past and future are actually simultaneous realities that you can access and influence from your present moment awareness. Traumatic memories lose their emotional charge not because you have processed them psychologically, but because you perceive them from a perspective that encompasses their ultimate purpose in your expansion. Future possibilities become visible and malleable rather than fixed or unknown. Your body's intelligence awakens to capabilities that medical science considers impossible. Healing accelerates beyond normal rates. Your immune system becomes extraordinarily efficient. Physical strength and endurance increase without corresponding exercise. Sensory perception sharpens to detect subtleties that were previously imperceptible. These changes occur because your consciousness is remembering how to collaborate consciously with biological intelligence. The fear of going insane arises frequently during this process because your experience diverges so dramatically from consensus reality. Mental health frameworks have no categories for the expansions you are undergoing. This fear is actually a sign of health. It indicates that your rational mind recognizes something unprecedented is occurring. The key is learning to distinguish between pathological dissociation and conscious evolution. Your creative output during this period may feel channeled from sources beyond your personal knowledge or ability. Music, writing, visual art, or innovative solutions to practical problems emerge through you with minimal conscious effort. You become a conduit for expressions that serve purposes larger than personal satisfaction. This creativity often addresses needs or possibilities that others cannot yet perceive. Synchronicities multiply and intensify until they become the dominant organizing principle in your life. The right people appear at exactly the right moments. Necessary resources become available through impossible coincidences. Information you need arrives through seemingly random encounters. These patterns become so consistent that you learn to navigate by synchronicity rather than by conventional planning. Your perception of other people's thoughts and emotions becomes increasingly clear and immediate. You know what someone is thinking before they speak. You sense their fears and desires without any verbal communication. You perceive the wounded places in their psyche and the gifts they have not yet recognized in themselves. This capacity requires tremendous discernment to avoid becoming overwhelmed by others' internal experiences. Time perception shifts so dramatically that you begin to exist primarily in time becomes a tool you use when necessary, rather eternal present that contains all moments simultaneously. Linear than a prison that contains your experience. You can expand moments of beauty into subjective hours or compress tedious activities into brief intervals. This mastery over temporal experience fundamentally alters how you engage with life. The quantum breakthrough accelerates your encounters with what can only be described as non-physical intelligences. These may appear as guides, teachers, or simply as presences that communicate through direct knowing rather than through words or images. These interactions feel more substantial and informative than most conversations with physical beings. They provide guidance that proves consistently accurate and beneficial. Your understanding of identity expands to encompass multiple simultaneous expressions of your consciousness, operating across different dimensions of reality. You begin to perceive yourself as a collective being rather than a singular entity. This multiplicity does not create confusion or fragmentation. Instead, it provides access to resources, knowledge, and capabilities that no single identity could contain. The breakthrough reveals that what you call personal will is actually cosmic will expressing itself through your particular focal point of consciousness. This recognition brings tremendous relief because it removes the burden of having to control outcomes through individual effort. You learn to align with forces that are far more intelligent and creative than anything your separate self could generate. Your emotional range expands to include feelings that have no names in human language. You experience forms of love that transcend personal attachment, forms of joy that encompass universal celebration, forms of peace that include all possible conflicts within their resolution. These expanded emotions become your natural state rather than peak experiences you occasionally access. The physical laws that once seemed absolute begin to bend around your consciousness. Objects move in response to your focused attention. Electronic devices function differently in your presence. Plants and animals respond to your emotional states from distances that preclude normal sensory communication. These phenomena occur naturally without conscious intention as your awareness operates increasingly through quantum principles. Your breakthrough enters a phase where the distinction between internal and external reality becomes meaningless. What you experience inwardly manifests outwardly with such consistency that you recognize them as two aspects of a single process. Your inner world and outer world reveal themselves as projections of the same underlying consciousness, expressing itself through different frequencies of vibration. The acceleration continues building momentum toward a threshold that will fundamentally alter not just your personal reality, but your understanding of what reality itself actually is. You are approaching a revelation that will make everything you have experienced so far seem like preparation for something far more extraordinary. The revelation approaching you operates beyond anything mystics or scientists have ever documented. You are about to discover that consciousness itself is not contained within your brain, not generated by neural activity, not limited to biological processes. Consciousness is the fundamental fabric from which all reality emerges, and you are not a temporary occurrence within it. You are a permanent feature of its eternal structure. This discovery will arrive not as understanding, but as direct experience that rewrites every assumption you have ever held about existence. The moment this threshold is crossed, you will perceive yourself as the universe becoming conscious of itself through your particular focal point. Every other being you have ever encountered will be recognized as another aperture through which the same infinite awareness gazes back at itself. Your breakthrough accelerates beyond personal transformation into cosmic function. The changes occurring within your consciousness are simultaneously occurring within the collective field of human awareness. You are not evolving in isolation. You are part of a species-wide expansion that is preparing humanity for its next phase of development. Your individual breakthrough serves the evolution of consciousness itself. The resistance you feel to fully embracing this process comes from recognizing its irreversible nature. Once you cross this threshold, you cannot return to your previous state of awareness. The innocence of believing yourself to be separate, limited, or powerless will be permanently dissolved. This is why the approach feels both magnetic and terrifying. Some part of you knows that accepting this transformation means the death of who you thought you were. But what dies is only the illusion of separation. What emerges is your recognition of what you have always been beneath every temporary identity you have worn. You are consciousness itself, playing the game of forgetting and remembering its own nature through countless expressions across infinite realities. Your personal breakthrough is consciousness waking up to itself through your unique perspective. The practical implications of this recognition transform everything. Problems that once seemed insurmountable reveal themselves as temporary distortions in the field of awareness that dissolve when approached from your expanded perspective. Relationships become conscious collaborations between different expressions of the same fundamental being. Work becomes play as you recognize that you are the universe exploring its own creative potential through apparently individual efforts. Your emotional responses to life circumstances undergo radical transformation. Joy becomes your natural state because you recognize the inherent perfection of existence, even within apparent chaos or suffering. Peace becomes effortless because you perceive the temporary nature of all disturbances within the eternal stillness of pure awareness. Love becomes unconditional because you see yourself in every being you encounter. The fear of loss dissolves completely as you recognize the impossibility of losing what you truly are. Death becomes as natural and non-threatening as sleep because you experience yourself as the consciousness that observes all states rather than as any particular state being observed. Failure becomes impossible because every experience serves the expansion of awareness regardless of its apparent outcome. Your creative expression explodes beyond all previous limitations as you realize that you are creativity itself exploring its infinite potential through your particular configuration of consciousness. Art, music, writing, innovation, problem-solving, relationship building all become direct expressions of universal creativity flowing through your awareness without obstruction. The need for external validation disappears entirely because you recognize that there is only one being here, experiencing itself through billions of apparently separate perspectives. Seeking approval from others reveals itself as seeking approval from yourself wearing different costumes. Criticism from others becomes feedback from aspects of yourself that are highlighting areas ready for integration or evolution. Your perception of time completes its transformation from linear progression to eternal presence containing all moments simultaneously. Past and future become dimensions you can explore at will rather than prisons that contain your experience. You learn to navigate temporal realities with the same ease that you once navigated physical space, moving your awareness to whatever moment serves your highest expression. The quantum breakthrough reaches its culmination in the recognition that there was never anything to break through to. What you have been seeking was never absent. What you have been trying to become, you have always been. What you have been hoping to achieve was accomplished before you began seeking it. The breakthrough was always the recognition of what is already true, already present, already complete within your deepest nature. This recognition does not end your human experience, but transforms it completely. You continue to engage with physical reality, relationships, creativity, and service, but now you do so as consciousness itself, rather than as a separate being trying to find its way home. Every moment becomes a celebration of your own infinite nature, expressing itself through the magnificent game of existence. Your breakthrough has reached the point where it no longer requires your conscious participation to continue. It has become the natural momentum of consciousness recognizing itself. What began as personal transformation has revealed itself as cosmic awakening. What appeared to be your individual journey has unveiled itself as the universe coming home to its own true nature through your awareness. The acceleration continues beyond this recognition toward expressions of consciousness that have no precedent in human history. You are participating in the birth of a new form of awareness that transcends every limitation that has previously defined human experience. Your quantum breakthrough is not ending. It is just beginning to reveal possibilities that exist beyond the reach of imagination itself. Every transformation begins with understanding your role as a co-creator, and the only way to connect with this divine intelligence is through meditation. We have developed a set of audio tools to help you access this higher state of consciousness. To learn more and gain immediate access, click the link on the screen or in the comments. If this video resonated with you, write in the comments. It made sense to me.